Hey, it's Kark36, and I was going to do a series on why I lose, but you don't exactly know what you don't know. So I am going to do a series on studying the league tournament games. Now, this is not a league tournament game, but LBH or ABH, Arthur Baumer Harris has been tutoring me. He showed me this game, pointed it to me, and I thought, well, let's study this game. That would be cool. Okay, so here we go. This is a guy the Allies won with a 42 bid. Okay, so what do we do? Let's go back. Um, oops. So we're going to go back in history to the purchase. Actually, to the bid. 42 bid. What do you think he did with that 42 bid? Did some pretty good stuff. I don't understand it all, honestly. I will tell you. Um, he bought two fighters for the Russians. Now, I would guess he placed them in. There we go. Placed them in Vologda and Caucasus, I would think. But he could also place them in Russia. So somewhere here, excuse me, is two airplanes. Um, yeah, somewhere. And then here, and then here, and then here. And we go to purchase units. So let's check that out. So there's an extra fighter in Moscow, an extra fighter in Volgograd. Okay, so also he put a sub in 111 and a sub in 110 and a sub off Gibraltar. Now, in almost all these cases, he's going to submerge a sub. So interesting. That's interesting too. And we'll just look at this very good German player who buys 3 infantry and 6 artillery. I haven't seen that bid, that buy, so I would say that's a little unusual. Usually you would go with 7 infantry or you'd go with naval stuff. Okay, so he does combat, the usual stuff, but because of the sub, um, now by the way, Arthur Baumer Harris admits in this game he hasn't played this game in like 4 years out of box. He's been playing balance mode a lot. So he avoids 111. Now that could be, and doesn't use the 124 sub. And then he also attacks 106, which he will win. Okay. So this guy is placing a lot, and he doesn't attack 91. Okay. And it takes France, and he tries to take southern France with extra units, available units. Okay. So let's see how the turn ends up. Again, top level players, like I said, ABH has not played in a long time out of box. It's not the fashion right now. And so let's see where we're at. Okay, so we have a British sub, and the battleship is there as well. And he does have plenty of subs, German subs. Interestingly enough, look at this. He actually moved the sub back to 112. So I wonder if he had the opportunity to bounce this battleship. Because these days, a lot of people are bouncing the battleship back here, even to leave. Well, in this case, you wouldn't do that because you've got other navy. But okay, cool. So what do the Japanese buy? They buy 3 transports. That's pretty standard. 3 transports or 2 factories. Let's see what the Russians do. Anything unusual here? So he does buy 4 artillery. Okay, 4 artillery usually means to me he's going to try to hit once before Moscow. I'm right now experimenting with a bid that's intended to stop him at East Poland and delay him a turn, or even make him fight it out there. Could be foolish, but that's what I'm currently experimenting with. All right, so he's got a standard, moved everything out of Karelia south to Novgorod that he could, and gathered everything, and then placed in Ukraine. All right, he placed some additional units in Russia as artillery in Russia. So interesting. All right. All right. So we're more interested in what the Allies do because I'm trying to learn from a good example. So he's going to place that there. He's not declaring war. No, and then okay, this guy has a lagging 20, lagging ships in 20. Not sure why that is. Uh, and and drop some people into French Indochina. All right, like I said, don't usually see that. Chahar would be a little bit heavier than a lot of people do. A lot of people gather a lot of stuff in Anhui. All right, let's see what the Americans do. I believe he's going to buy 3 carriers, 2 carriers, a destroyer, and a transport. Okay. Like I said, the difference between a great player and a not great player is actually, in some ways, I would have bought three aircraft carriers. Let's get that over with. Or I would have bought 3 subs. I do like subs in the North Pacific. But he puts a destroyer on. He's going to try to protect this right here, right? So that's the purpose there. Let's get that right down there. So yeah, that's what he's doing here um, with the Americans protecting the East Coast with the destroyer. So it's modest addition to the East Coast. He also brings 1 fighter over to scramble, I would think. And also just, this is the investment. So you see, this is the investment in the East Coast. Could have moved that truck, but he didn't. So he's got 2 units that can move out on the transport. And he gathered everything in Hawaii. Okay. And then, interestingly enough, he put the split the sub, and split the destroyer from Philippines, and put the fighter in Guam. Okay. Let's see what he does with these guys. I wanted to see his combat here. So because of the placement of in Yunnan, and he, I believe, put 1 infantry there. Plus he brought all the Russian fighters now, and then he invested the movers into. So I didn't show that before. Oh, and he did start the move back to. Okay, he did start the move back to Moscow with the Siberian troops. All right, so combat in Hunan, he takes that back, I believe. Takes Hunan back. And right away, we see that Yunnan gets $5 more, but he's abandoned it. He's moved back. He's got a power base in the north and the south. I believe these could have been moved back here. One of those. And of course, he placed the artillery there. So that means he's going to stay in the north. Okay, so we're interpreting stuff right now. How many moves did he bring? How many guys did he bring in the Hunan? I want to see that. So 3. Pretty modest, really. In my view, got kind of a little lucky. I brought 4 in the last game I played and got smoked. So I brought 3 infantry in. And I got skunked. 12 dice, no hits. Or so, 8 dice, no hits. Somewhere in that category. I brought 4 in and 1 fighter. Anyways, he got it. So good for him. Really hurt my Chinese campaign. All right, let's see what he purchases for the Brits. 5 infantry and 1. So he's respecting the Sea Lion, but he's also adding an infantry and a fighter. Let's see where he places those. I would build. Oh, okay. So with the extra dollar, he does upgrade an infantry to an artillery, not a mech. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get the computer to do this. Okay. Okay, so he is going to try to destroy that fleet. He is doing Taranto. Let's see that again. So he is going to take minimum in there. The subs that submerged are going to just make sure we kill that battleship. But he did bring the destroyer in to kill that sub too. So minimum and risk, and then he brings the sub. Does he bring an airplane in there? Nope, all the airplanes go there. All right, let's take a look for a minute, because I don't think actually all the airplanes went that could have gone. There's 2 airplanes here. Where did the Gibraltar fighter go? Gibraltar fighter is in one of these battles. I believe there are 3 fighters here. Yep. Looks like the Gibraltar fighter and the one fighter from just want to really study this. Is that the Gibraltar fighter? Okay, that's the Gibraltar fighter. Oops. Okay, he did bring one fighter down from, and a bomber. Okay. Okay. So then, interestingly enough, check this out. That went well for him. He brings everything back up to Iceland with a 1-plane scramble. Oh, this is an interesting move. Hadn't seen this before. I'm not exactly sure why he does this, actually. Moves everything over like you would think. Okay, I like this move. I've seen that many times. I usually drop the transport down here in 81 so it survives. Or has a more likely chance of surviving. Okay, so he does put the artillery into London. Let's bring the box back. Oh, he places it all in London. Okay. Turn complete. Okay, so 3 lost to blockade. And he gets $32. All right, let's check this out real quick. I just want to make sure I got this. So he is going to withdraw the Chinese troops. He moved the guys up from Malaya. He gathered in Burma. All of his placements in India. Moved everything west just like normal. He grabbed Persia. Okay, that's a good move. And I usually am tempted to go to Iraq to get that out of the way, but obviously you're going to have more infantry to attack Iraq if you have Persia, and it's no combat. This was, no, we wouldn't say that's lucky. We would just say that was a standard combat. I just want to look at what he brought in there. He brought a sub. Where did the sub come from? Oh, the Gibraltar sub. Okay, so good placements and good stuff. Leaves the guy there. No. Let's see if he moved him up. Okay, so did he move him up? I believe he left him there because he's going to send a transport down. The fighters from Calcutta went to Tanganyika. He did not touch the horn. Gathered everything into Egypt. And in addition to this, now this, by the way, is not as far forward as possible. In fact, these ships will not reach the Med. Did he give up the Med bonus? Nope. Okay, he did move the carrier in there. He's got a blocker, and Italy is nerfed. did sacrifice the transport, I would think. These are protected. Gibraltar is wide open. These are out of range. These are 2 out of range, by the way. So no sea base here. So in order to get down to a sea base, 1, and then so they're quite out of range, but that's okay because they're safe. All right, let's go down and let's take a look at. Oh, that's all I can take a look at it today. Okay, so I just wanted to take a look at the what I call the allied turn. It's the big turn. So with a small bid, $42, sub 111, sub 110, sub in Gibraltar, and 2 fighters, and there might have been 1 infantry for Yunnan. He holds Yunnan and even pushes back Yunnan, so the Japanese are only up by 1 right now, and their position is weak, and also, of course, they lost some infantry, 2 infantry. So interesting. Okay, this is my little game of studying winners. We have got a lot of food for thought because there's an out of box tournament now again, and I am just so thankful. We're going to see some high level out of box play, and I just